Okay. Perfect. Okay, the recording started. We'll just give it a few minutes just to wait for everyone to join, and then we'll get started with the first webinar. Screen's being shared so you can see the presentation for everyone. As I said, we'll give everyone a little bit of time to join. We're a little bit early at the moment, but then we can get started with everything. Claudia, can you hear us now? We've got our microphones turned on. So if everyone has got any questions, you can leave them in the chat for you. But Claudia, we are speaking. Just let us know if you can hear us. Still can't hear us. That's odd. Okay. Barbara, can you hear me as well? Yep. And Valentina, can you hear me as well?
Yes.
Okay. If there's anyone else who can't hear, just please put a note in the chat, and we'll see if there's anything else we can do. But we should be able to hear us. Attendees watching. Hmm? If you're still having trouble hearing, so we just see if Laudia is typing as well. Don't know why my audio doesn't work. Okay. Let me have a look and just double check everything. Meeting options. So if it's yourself trying to speak, we're keeping it at the moment that just for the To Tuscany colleagues will be speaking in this. But if you have anything else to add, thank you, Phil, for letting us know. Thank you for that. So as I said, it will just be To Tuscany colleagues speaking during the webinar. But of course, if there are any questions you have, you can let us know in the chat, and then we'll get to your questions during the webinar. Just see who else we've got. We've got a few more people. That's brilliant. Okay, 9 people in. Yes, Claudia, if you want to leave and try to connect again to check your audio, then that we would suggest just to make sure. That's absolutely fine. The link will still be valid from the email you would have received to join the meeting again. Okay. So I think there's still a few more who potentially will be joining. So I'll give it another minute or so, and then we'll get started. Got a few more. Okay, here we go. 7 attendees. That's great. Okay. So those who have joined, thank you very much for joining. Obviously, this is our first webinar, and will be the first of quite a few going forward. And we're really excited to bring this all to you in a way that we can look to have better communication with you and to discuss what we want to do going forward into 2024. So let's just keep an eye on how many people we've got. So we've got 6 attendees at the moment. From the list we had, we should have a few more, but don't want to keep you all waiting too much longer. There we go. Oh, we've got another person back in. Claudia's back in. Okay. As I said, if there are any questions throughout the webinar, you can leave them in the chat, and Barbara will go, oh, brilliant. Oh, that's great. Thank you for letting us know, Claudia, you can hear us. So if anyone else does have any audio issues hearing us, we'd suggest just logging out and then joining the meeting again, just to make sure. So we'll get started now. As the meeting is being recorded. So thank you everyone who's joined. As I said, this is our first webinar that we're doing, which we'll be doing in the future going forward. And it's a way for us to be able to speak with you more regularly, outside of obviously phone calls you might have for particular requests, and any other guest requests that we have. But with this, we can then tackle particular topics with regards to renting your villas. So we want to use this introductory webinar to introduce what we're going to be doing going forward with this. So any questions you have throughout, please leave them in the chat, and Barbara will go through them, and we'll go through your questions during the webinar. We'll have a little break in the middle, and then at the end as well, where we can answer any questions you may have. So the whole target of what we're looking to do is to enhance our collaboration with you all as owners, and that way we can help you get the best out of your rental with us. So obviously our aim initially is to provide a personal and tailored service to you all, and of a high quality. And by doing what we're looking to do with the new webinars that we're doing, and also new communication channels, which we'll go into more detail about as well, we can then look to have a better collaboration with you all, and that way we can reach you all in different ways. So email will still be our main form of communication, but we're still looking to extend where we can reach all of you going into the future. And by using your feedback, which we gained from the survey we did a couple of weeks ago, we can then tailor our newsletters, which we've done over the last couple of weeks. And then we can also extend our communication outlets for you as well, which will be really useful for us going forward. So on that, we'd like to say a quick thank you to everyone for your responses to the survey we sent out via our newsletter a couple of weeks ago. So in that newsletter, there was a survey which we asked for our owners to give feedback about where they would like us to contact them outside of emails, which has been really useful for us in deciding what we're going to do going into 2024. In that survey as well, there was also a question to ask about what topics you'd like us to tackle in the webinars, which again has been really useful, so that going in, so just let Bernard come in, admit into the lobby. There we go. So that feedback with regards to what topics we'll be doing going forward in the webinars is also really useful. So that way we can have specialised webinars on particular topics, whether that be preparing your villa ahead of the start of the season, or essential items and different topics going forward. So more will be announced about those webinars going forward into the future. But we're happy to begin to announce the following channels that we'll be using going forward. So first is the webinars. Obviously, this is our first one. And we're looking forward to doing more of these into the future, and that way we can go into more detail about different topics, as I've just mentioned. Um, each webinar will roughly take place for 30 minutes. Obviously, we're aware that everyone's got different jobs they've got to do, so we want to keep it nice and concise for everyone. But we'll still give you the opportunity to ask questions during the webinar, and that way we can answer as many as we can during the webinar and the time that we have with you all. Of course, if there are any questions that we perhaps can't get to, or you feel that a question hasn't been quite answered to what you're looking for, you can always email us directly at informazioni at totuscany.com, or you can give us a call on our on our office phone number, and one of our colleagues will be happy to help, whether that's myself, Barbara, or also Lauda, who's also available. And the webinars will take place on a regular basis, and they'll be at least once a month. That way we can still regularly touch base with all of you. And as we did for this one, the invites will be sent out a week before, and with the registration link, as we have done. So that way you can all register ahead of time. And then if you have any questions beforehand about a particular topic that we're going to be talking about, you can always let us know, and that way we can make sure to cover that in the webinar. And each session will also be recorded. So for everyone who's here, you'll receive the recording soon after the webinar has finished. But in case you are unable to attend for a particular reason for one webinar, we'll also send the recording out via email newsletter, and that way you can listen back to what we've discussed. And that will be available via a link, and then you can click into it, and then from there you can listen back to any questions that we can cover in the webinar. And then if you have any questions after having listened to it, you can of course contact us directly, and we'll be happy to help with any questions you have. So with that, we have our newsletters. So over the last couple of weeks, as I said, we sent out a few newsletters for you. For example, we had the one about the review system. So we've changed our review system from being out of 10 to now out of 5 stars. So using these newsletters is an effective way for us to send out mass communication to all of the owners that we work with. The other newsletter we sent out recently was regarding December booking requests. So we've seen quite an increase recently of people inquiring for December requests. So for any owners who are interested and want to make the most of the opportunity for that, to obviously check their calendar availability and to also check their villa for any day arrivals outside of Saturday if they'd like to. So these newsletters will be a really useful way for us to be able to send out important updates for all of you, and then following on from the webinars with the recording links as well. And through the newsletters, we can also attach surveys. We had the one that went out first a few weeks ago with regards to what topics you'd like us to cover, and also what other channels you'd like us to communicate with you through. If anyone has any questions, of course, you can leave that in the chat and we'll be happy to answer them with everything we've got so far. But these are two of the first ways which we'll be looking to increase our communication with you and enhance our collaboration with our owners. So if everyone does have any questions, please type them in the chat and we'll be more than happy to answer them. But if there is no questions for now, we can carry on and then we can answer any questions at the end of the webinar as well. So the next area where we'll look to add some more communication to you all is via the back office. So within your owner accounts, there is a messages tab, and we will also begin to use this as well for any important communication. The messages tab is one of the first parts you see upon accessing your back office. So any new messages should be easily visible for all of you to see. So if there's anything important that we need to update you on, as well as through our newsletters and emails, we can also use the back office messages to make sure that everything's covered there. And within the messages tab, any previous messages will be saved. So if there is anything you need to remind yourself about, or you want to look back at a previous message, it will be possible to do so from the messages tab. So again, this will be another useful way for us to put out any really important updates for you. Oh, is there something in the chat as well? Okay. Thank you, Victoria, for that question. We can definitely answer that towards the end, but thank you for that. But with the back office messages, as I said, with the messages tab, yes, there should be a notification as well that will come through. So when you log in, it will be there will be a notification there to ask you to read the message. So that's how we'll be using the back office messages going forward. Upon logging in, there'll be a notification for you to say there's a new message to read. And finally, the new channel that we'll be opening is a WhatsApp group for our owners. So based on the survey that we received, an overwhelming majority of you said that WhatsApp would be a preferred method of communication outside of email. So we will be launching a WhatsApp group where we'll be also sharing any announcements and updates with you. And following the conclusion of the webinar, we will then let you know once this is launched, and then the links to join the group will be sent out via email newsletter as well. We understand that a lot of owners aren't always able to access their laptop or their emails, so that way having WhatsApp as an available communication channel also means that you will be able to see any communication whilst you're on the go. For example, if you're maybe abroad or you're not at home for a particular reason, we know that being able to see things on your phone is very useful. Thank you for that, Phil. Yes, like I said, based on the feedback, we realised it's important for everyone to have that. So that's great. What other questions have we got? Barbara, is there anything you want to?
Hi everyone. Yeah, we have one. We receive also short email alert in that case. No, as Cam said, the communication will be through the newsletter, the back office, and the WhatsApp group. So is it correct, right, Cam?
Yeah. So when it comes to, Barbara, would you be able to hear us something again?
Yes.
That's okay, no worries. When it comes to the back office messages, I think that's what Joss's question is regarding to. It won't be an email notification that there's a new message. It will be upon logging in. However, what we want to do is with the WhatsApp group, for example, is we can send a message to all of you and say there's an important message to read in back office, or if there's an important email that's gone out as well, we can then send a WhatsApp message to let you know that there's a message to read in back office or an important email to read that's maybe gone out in a newsletter, for example. So that's how that will work. And the other question we have, so Vittoria, for the website being available in Italian to maximize bookings in low and off seasons. It's not something we've considered at the moment. Obviously, we have the website available in the 5 markets that we work with. So the British website for clients from England, America, and Australia, the French, German, Dutch, and Polish. So currently we haven't got any plans to put the website into Italian. We do use the other portals, booking.com, Airbnb, Verbo as well, Marriott and Plum Guide. And we do see that there are some Italian guests who come to us through those channels. So at the moment, having a website in Italian isn't something on our to-do list, but if there were to be any changes about that, then of course we would let you know. But it's not something we're actively considering at the moment. But with the portal channels, we have found that Italians are able to find us through those, and then we can speak with them if they're interested in booking. So if there's any other questions as well about what we've covered today, of course you can leave them in the chat and we'll be happy to quickly go over them. The next webinar we will be doing will be in the new year, after Christmas, and it'll be to introduce the Italian team. So that will be to discuss what our roles are, who you can contact with different queries. So that will be with myself, Barbara, Laura Benedette, who's in Italy, Laura Mirandola, who is here in the office in the UK, and then with Silvano as well. So this will be a way for us to discuss how the team works, who you can come to for particular requests, and who will be available perhaps to answer a phone call, and the different requests that we get through, or what requests that you may have. So are there any other questions at all that anyone has? If there is, type them in the chat and we'll be happy to help. So Phil, when it comes to complaints, that is one topic we'll look to cover in a webinar in the future. Also, we are aware that sometimes there are clients who might have a complaint, and also it's important for us to provide support to our owners in case that happens. So that is something we will be tackling in a webinar specifically for that in the future next year. That's okay. We're completely aware that obviously providing support for owners in case of complaints is really important. I want to emphasise that we are here to provide support. So being able to tackle that in a specific webinar will be a useful way to provide some more information on how that works and what support we can provide. So thank you for bringing that up. We know it's an important point for a lot of our owners. So we wanted to make that clear that we will be talking about that in the future in a specific webinar. Okay. Did see there was someone else typing, but of course, if there are any other questions, please let us know. So that way we can help where we can. Of course, if there's any other questions that you have after the webinar, of course you can email us or you can call us, and one of us in the UK office will be more than happy to help with any questions you may have, whether that's myself, Barbara, or Laura. One of us will be more than happy to help. Okay. Well, I think for now that is all the questions that we have. As I said, repeat again, if you would like to speak to us about a particular question you have after the webinar, you can contact us via email at informazioni@totuscany.com, or you can call us on our office number as well, and we'll be available to speak over the phone to you. Oh, we have got someone else typing, so let's see if there's another question that quickly comes in before we wrap up. Thank you, Joseph, for coming. With this being the first webinar, we were anxious to speak to you all. So thank you for coming. We really appreciate you giving up your time to join us. So we really appreciate it, and we look forward to doing more of these in the future. As I said, it will be on a monthly basis to be able to go into different topics and how we're then providing more support for you going forward via the different communication channels that we've mentioned today. So the new WhatsApp group, which we will be communicating once that's ready to launch via an email newsletter, and then you can request to join that. With the back office messages we'll be using more going forward, our email newsletters, and also the webinars as we discussed as well today. Thank you, Eladia. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining. We really appreciate everyone who's joined today. We appreciate it's near the end of the day in Italy. So you joining us. We really, really appreciate it, and it's good to know that you're appreciative of what we're looking to do going forward. Okay, I think we can wrap it up there. As I said, any other questions, you can contact us directly, and we'll be more than happy to help from here in the office via email or via phone call. We're available to help with you and to provide some support. So thank you everyone for joining us. The next webinar, we will obviously communicate a date 1 week before, but so we'll be in the new year in January time. And any other questions about what we've covered, please let us know and we'll be more than happy to help. But thank you very much, everyone, and we'll speak to you all again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.